Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, January 23rd, 2021 meeting of the House Education Finance Committee. Remote hearings such as this are held in accordance with House Rule 10.01. This rule has been posted online and is linked to in our public meeting notice on the House website. All remote hearings will be recorded and live streamed by House Public Information Services. Members have the contents of their packets available to them, and for the public, these same materials have been posted online. Members, if you're looking for all of these materials in one place, they are attached in the calendar event you have that Ms. Burt sent for today. To get on the list to be recognized by the chair, members using the Zoom interface have the ability to raise their hand via the app. Ms. Burt will place your name on the list to be recognized. Ms. Sunderland, would you please call the roll?
Chair Dabney.
Present.
Vice Chair Sandsted. Vice Chair Sandsted. I see her on the call here. Representative Krisha.
Present.
Representative Bennett.
Present.
Representative Daniels.
Present.
Representative Damath.
Present.
Representative Drazkowski. Representative Drazkowski. Representative Erickson.
Present, but the chair needs to remember this is February, not January.
Fair point. Thank you, Representative Erickson.
Representative Feist.
Present.
Representative Jordan.
Here.
Representative Marquardt.
Present.
Representative Mueller.
Present.
Representative Richardson.
Present.
Representative Thompson.
Thompson, present.
Representative Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, present.
Representative Zhang. Representative Zhang.
I believe Representative Zhang is excused for today.
Okay. And Representative Youakim.
Present.
And we'll circle back. I do see Julie Sandsted on the call. So Representative Sandsted, are you? All right, we will mark her as present. That is the roll, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sunderland. Representative Youakim, have you had a chance to review the minutes for today? From Thursday, Thursday, February 18th.
Yes, sir, I have, Mr. Chair. I have had a chance to review the minutes for February 18th, and I move them.
Thank you very much. Any discussion to the Youakim motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay? Motion prevails. Thank you very much. Today, members will be moving one bill, Representative Pinto's House File 1024, and then hearing and laying over Representative Edelson's House File 288. Representative Wolgamott, would you like to make a motion to move House File 1024 to be before the committee and to refer it to the Human Services Finance and Policy Committee?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Wolgamott. Members of the committee and members of the public, we're looking to take action on this bill by 10:55 a.m. Representative Pinto, before you introduce the bill, I understand you have an amendment you'd like to offer to get the bill into the shape you'd prefer. Can you please describe what your author's amendment does? Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The A1 amendment is makes just a small change to the bill to confirm something that has been present in the proposal all the way along, which is that this is in support of families, and the work of the proposed department would be intended to support families. And so I'd ask for your support of this author's amendment.
Thank you very much. With that, the chair will move the A1 amendment. Any discussion to the A1 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the A1 amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion prevails. Representative Pinto, please proceed with introducing your bill as amended. I understand that you have some slides for us.
I do, Mr. Chair, and I'll get to those in just a moment. But first, just leading into that, I want to note, and thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for giving this bill a hearing. Members, this is a proposal that, as you're going to hear in a second, is really at least 10 years in the making. The Early Childhood Committee, which I chair, and several of the members of this committee serve on, has heard in the first weeks of the session about how critical the earliest years are, and they really lay the foundation for everything that follows. This is a time for families, we've learned, that is the most challenging time of their lives. And again, it's the most important time for them and for all of us in brain development and in everything else. The programs that address those earliest years are scattered across multiple state agencies, as our committee has learned. Just to give an example, there are home visiting programs in the Department of Education and in Health and in Human Services. There are early care and learning programs in the Department of Human Services and, of course, in the Department of Education. And I'll talk more about that in just a second. But what the proposal is to bring together those disparate programs that are related to one another but are in disparate places into a single dedicated state agency. I want to note for members, the proposal does not involve an expansion of existing programs. It simply would have the existing programs be together in a structure that makes sense and that allows for our state agencies to work in the most effective way and our state government in the most effective way as possible. And there is a long transition time the new agency would take place with the upcoming gubernatorial term. So with that, I'm just going to show, with the chair's permission, a couple of slides to just illustrate a couple of these points. And I want to note, members, that there was an auditor's report from a couple of years ago that highlighted how we have this complex and fragmented set of programs in this area, as I've spoken, and the impact that those have on families and also on providers. We've learned in our committee what an extremely challenging sector it is to provide early care and learning. You may have heard from child care providers in your districts. I suspect that you may have through the years. This is extremely challenging. And just to give a few examples, members, just looking at the issue of quality in early care and learning, how do we make sure that we have quality services being provided to families? So one aspect of that is licensing and regulation. We want at least on that base. And Department of Human Services provides some licensing regulation. Department of Education provides others. Now, you might think to yourself, well, there's probably a logic to that in terms of who's providing licensing over which, but I'll note that there is a fair amount of overlap. If there's a YMCA providing early childhood services, Department of Education provides licensing and oversight of that work, but if they accept the Child Care Assistance Program, there is oversight and regulation and a fair amount on the DHS side as well. The system that is used principally for quality in our state is the parent aware system. But the way to be able to tell as to how that's working in the assessment is over on the MDE side in the kindergarten readiness assessment. And I'll also note that a key part of quality and oversight of that is support professional development and families having resources to be able to choose the provider that works for them. This should drive up quality. Well, there's some grants for that and quite a bit on the DHS side, but there are programs as well on the MDE side. And we could do this in all sorts of areas. And again, between these three departments. This is an idea, as I said, that is not a new one. There was a legislative task force in 2011 that made a recommendation that programs be transferred from these three agencies to a freestanding agency. They suggested, as this bill has, a cabinet level position with authority and responsibility for policy, for fiscal issues, for rulemaking. And they had a goal at the time of having all children ready for school by 2020. That recommendation was not implemented. It is now 2021. It seems to me time that we move on that. And I also want to note that in other states, there's a strong movement in this direction. Provided just a few examples of agencies from other states, and Alabama and Georgia and New Mexico. And I want to highlight for members, Washington State in particular, their Department of Early Learning was so successful that it has since expanded just in the last couple of years to include child welfare issues and others as the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. So although it's not strictly focused on early childhood anymore, the reason is because the early childhood focus was actually so successful that there was an expansion. Again, we're not talking about new programs, members. We're talking about existing programs being structured in more effective ways. And speaking of more effectiveness, and this will be my final slide, accountability within the bill. The department will be required under this proposal to develop and report on a series of program objectives and performance measures. And I direct your attention to page 5 of the bill, where it really lays this out. You can see the department will be driven towards addressing racial inequities and ensuring kindergarten readiness and those other pieces there. And key all the way along is that there be this focus on accountability and the department reporting back to us about how effective the work is, referring to the specific program objectives and performance measures that they've identified and reported to us on. And I guess I just want to note this last piece, because I know this is important to members, the coordination and efficiency among programs and funding streams. That one slide I showed with quality, we could lay out in all sorts of different pieces, and the OLA report from several years ago, in fact, did that, about the fragmentation among programs and funding streams. We need to have somebody accountable, an organization for all those different pieces. And I'll note then finally, members, that this is not about the individuals in any positions right now in state government, who in fact I think are doing phenomenal work, and happy to talk more about that. This is a structural issue, and we've seen this in states around the country, that having a structure that works better will allow the terrific folks in these roles to do their work even better. I do have a couple of testifiers, Mr. Chair, and also someone with expertise available for questions when we get to that. And so if we can turn to those testifiers, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Pinto. First on my list is Ms. Sarah Ford with Education Minnesota. And I know for all the testifiers, you've been given some time limits to accommodate the work of the committee and be respectful of each other. I would ask that you abide by those time limits today. Ms. Ford.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sharing my time this morning with Robin Wansley-Warbula, so I'm going to ask her to start. We're sharing that short bit of time.
Ms. Wansley, please introduce yourself to the committee. Welcome, and proceed with your testimony.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair, members. My name is Robin Wansley-Warbula. I am here with Education Minnesota, specifically with my colleague, Sarah Ford, to briefly introduce our 18-month partnership with Isaiah to stand in support of the creation of this new department. We have been working with Isaiah's Kids Count on Us coalition, which is comprised of more than 400 childcare centers from across the state. We've been working with them for the past 18 months and developing a policy that does two things simultaneously. One, creating equitable and affordable care and education programs that are aligned with early indicators of progress for all Minnesotans, Minnesota's 0 through 4-year-olds who need it. The second aspect is also interrupting the current system that exploits the early education workforce that has been dedicated to caring for and educating our youngest learners. And we know that it's a system that has set a threshold for poverty wages, and it often leads to the cyclical poverty amongst its workers as well as around its families. It constantly produces high turnover. And we know all these developments are detrimental to our children's development and the stability of these centers. And this also leads to Minnesotans paying roughly about $23 million a year in social services to child care workers. So we really have the historic opportunity to make a change to this. And there's been a commitment from our team from day one to advance a policy that further these goals and making sure that we create an equitable and affordable child care system. And this is the first step. So I'll pass it to Sarah Ford.
Thank you, Ms. Wansley. Ms. Ford.
Thank you so much. So one of the primary issues this partnership with Isaiah and Education Minnesota, one of the primary issues we examined throughout this 18-month exploration was the very issue of this this governance structure and all the ways in which we have insisted upon a false dichotomy between care and education. This system assumes that all that happens with 0 to 3 or 0 to 4-year-olds is care, that all that happens with K through 12 is education, when we know that in both cases that's false and leads to a great deal of incoherence, lost opportunities for systemic growth, and unchecked inequity. As the OLA report says, Minnesota does not have a coherent vision or system of early education programs, instead has accumulated a set of piecemeal programs, each with its own complexities, some overseen by one department, some by another. When we cut childcare off from conversations related to education and learning, we do so at great detriment to both the children themselves and the workforce dedicated to their development. The lack of coherent governance structure is one of the reasons nobody's in a position to address the fact that we've created a workforce destined to a cycle of poverty and without access to professional development they need, as Robin has already indicated. So we support the creation of a department in Minnesota to oversee all of the state's programs and funding streams related to 0 to 4-year-old care and education. We think the best place to start is with this governance structure that can house all of these pieces together and can point the state toward a coherent system of early care and education that is equitable, allows young children to thrive, and that recognizes, supports, and advocates for its workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Last of the testifiers that I have on my list is Erica Moss, Executive Director of Close Gaps by 5. Ms. Moss, I think is this your first time before the committee this year?
It is, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the welcome.
Please introduce yourself to the committee. And
Mr. Chair and members, Erica Moss, Executive Director of Close Gaps by 5. We're a business-led advocacy nonprofit that's been working in this space for about 15 years. And we're testifying today in support of House File 24. Over the course of our work, we've been focused and have seen some important successes in terms of new investments in the area of early care and education, but disappointingly little in the way of systemic reform. And that's been, for us a priority and something that we've worked hard on and unfortunately haven't made much progress at. Representative Pinto has already explained the efforts that have been undertaken over the years to make progress. We've been most focused recently on the 2018 OLA report, which several of the testifiers have mentioned, and enacting the recommendations in that report. And unfortunately, some progress has been made, but I think it's safe to say that none of the 9 recommendations in that report has been sufficiently addressed to this point. As Representative Pinto pointed out, and others have mentioned, this isn't necessarily a knock on the people in state government doing this work every day. I think there's an organizational problem that we believe this department will address. We think this department answers an essential question that's been left out in terms of the organization of state government, which is who in state government is accountable every day for ensuring that Minnesota's young children are prepared for school and all that follows. We find it a little bit puzzling that we have this kind of diffuse and unaccountable approach underway when we know from research from folks on my board like Art Rolnick and other economists that public investments in early childhood care and education, in particular for connecting low-income children to high-quality programs, yield one of the highest known public returns on investment. A practical example of this kind of diffuse arrangement, Representative Pinto nodded to, but we primarily advocate for the Early Learning Scholarship Program and the Parent-Aware rating system. And in those two, you have a really good example of how things are scattered across separate state agencies. And so the scholarships are administered by the Department of Education and can be used at 2 types of early learning programs that are also administered by the Department of Education, Head Start and public school-based programs. Meanwhile, the quality framework for those scholarships is housed at the Department of Human Services. And also the scholarships can be used at licensed child care centers and homes, which are also regulated by the Department of Human Services. And so what we have a lot of times is an incredible burden placed on the staff people working on those 2 programs to coordinate across agencies. And it takes time and effort and energy. And I think they're doing a good job to make it work. But I think that it's difficult to understand from the outside how painstaking that work is and how that impacts the decisions that are made in terms of how the program is operated.
Ms. Moss, I do need to ask you to come to a conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last thing I wanted to note is just to address this question about whether this department is growing government. We certainly don't see it that way. The business leaders on my board, when we talk about kind of how state government is organized, again, to take advantage of this opportunity of a high return on investment, they point out that if they knew of a system, a service or product that they could offer that had that high of an upside potential, they wouldn't bury the work related to achieving that goal in different departments and not have a central point of accountability. So from our perspective, this is a growing government. As Representative Pinto said, it's bringing together functions that exist currently and is organizing them in a way so that we end up with not more government, but good government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moss. Members, when this hearing was posted, the public was provided with instructions on how to sign up to testify during the public portion of this bill hearing. We received no requests for the public to testify. That does allow us to move to member questions. Representative Erickson, you had your hand up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Pinto, for your presentation. You know, this might be a really good idea in the end, but I'm wondering why you wouldn't want to start with a planning group or a working group, because, you know, I reread the audit report from 2018, and even though you've listed some high-level goals, there are just a lot of questions that need to be answered in regard to the 9 recommendations that came in the audit report. Plus, you need to pull in stakeholders and lots of folks to discuss, you know, in the end, what is this going to be for our state? And I think it could be a very good result. But I would highly recommend that you have a working group that spends the next year working on this. You know, data sharing is going to be one of the huge discussion points. And my last question, if you can answer all of these in one fell swoop, what will happen to the Children's Cabinet that was created back in the 90s?
Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Erickson, for those 2 great questions. So regarding your first question about planning for this, that's part of the reason that there's a full 2-year lead time, that this would not take effect until the upcoming gubernatorial term, so that there really is those couple years to drive towards this. I might, and I'll ask him to be brief, but I might call on, Mr. Chair, if I can, Elliot Regenstein, who is a national expert on national governance issues and has seen early childhood governance, I should say, has a lot of expertise, and he may have a brief comment on that. And then Representative Erickson, I'll certainly get to your second question with the chair's permission. But
certainly. Mr. Regenstein, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Elliot Regenstein from Foresight Law and Policy, and as Representative Pinto said, I've studied early childhood governance with a number of states around the country. Representative Erickson, I think your question is exactly the right one. That it is definitely ambitious to get a transition like this done in 2 years, but based on the experience of other states, it's very much possible, and would presumably have to start with a working group of the kind you decide, and then, you know, have built-in space for the administration to work on the changes it needs to make, but also engage legislators and other outside stakeholders. I believe very much based on the experience of other states, it could be done in 2 years.
Chair Pinto.
Thank you, Representative Chair, Mr. Chair. Mr. Regenstein, as he noted, this is something I should say that we put that 2-year transition time in part with his advice and guidance as somebody who has this national expertise. It does seem to me, though, that setting out that we know that the goal at the end of the 2 years is, in fact, to drive in this direction. It seems like an important one, because otherwise you have a planning group that says we want to go this direction, then you still have to take a couple of years to get it up and running based on everything that I've seen from around the country. It seems like there's a real advantage for that. Also, just note regarding your second question that the Children's Cabinet has a much broader remit. It's not just focused on early childhood issues, they go up to the young people, even up to the early 20s, and a very, very broad array of issues. I serve on the advisory council for the Children's Cabinet. And so I know that the Children's Cabinet will continue to play a really important role on a broad set of issues, even if this department came into effect.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Pinto. I still would advise you to consider a planning time and an organized working group. We have done that before in the legislature, not a task force, but a working group. And it has resulted in a very good product that has brought so many together with ideas that really take care of some of the unintended consequences that will result. I'm especially concerned about the data sharing because that is something that's been a problem all along, and that needs to be fully vetted. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Erickson. Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to make a quick comment and echo some of the concerns that Representative Erickson brought up. And I have heard this in our early childhood committee as well. So I was part of that discussion. I won't ask my same questions, but I feel like we need to have more exploration as to how this would be done. And I appreciate Chair Pinto bringing this up. I think it's important that we have government be efficient. And this is perhaps one way to do that, but I do think more exploration through some kind of a study group would be the way to go here. So thank you, Chair Pinto, for bringing it up. I do have, different concerns, and I think a study group could help with allaying some of those concerns. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Bennett. Representative Damath.
Thank you, Chair Dabney, and to Chair Pinto, thank you for bringing this forward and to the testifiers also. We did hear this in early childhood, and Chair Pinto, you and I have had conversation about this. I am supportive of the overall concept. I do have definite concerns as we move forward, but just one brief question would be how many of the FTEs will be transferred to this new agency, and how much in total funding would that be?
Chair Pinto.
Mr. Chair, Representative Damath, thank you so much for the question. And I actually don't know that I have offhand, Representative Damath, and we'll need to get to you and to committee members the answer of the exact number of FTEs and the exact budget. As I say, this would not involve increasing the total budget, but would simply involve transferring existing programs. I think if we sort of could do a bit of quick math about the amount of spending that's going into early learning scholarships, home visiting, et cetera, we could add that up. I don't know if perhaps House Research would have a sense to be able to help us with that, but otherwise, Representative Damath, I may need to get that to you separately. I'll certainly say it's not, it's a substantial amount to some degree, but as we know, early childhood, as you know from the committee, it certainly is not as large as some other areas.
Staff be able to assist on this? I don't know if that's for Ms. Adrians, Mr. Strom.
Mr. Chair and members, this is Emily Adrians. I can say that there is a fiscal note in process, and our hope is that the fiscal note would outline all of the employees from the relevant agencies that would need to be transferred to the new department. And so any of that information should be included there. The note is in process, and we're hoping to get it by next week.
Thank you, Ms. Adrians. Representative Damath.
That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick comment because I heard work group, study group, and those raise those words are like words that just raise red flags for me. And we don't need another work group. We don't need another study group. We need a group to go to work. And this provides just that. I want to excuse my brash delivery again, but these kids don't come with instruction manuals. We don't need another study group. We need work and people to put in work, not study us or study anything about us. And because right now we're coming post-pandemic, post-coronavirus. Like our kids are going to be in an epidemic after the pandemic passes. And I hate to sound like I'm going on a tangent, but this is the truth, Representative Chair Dabney. We don't need another work group or study group. We need people to go to work. I mean, our kids are dependent on us. And so I just wanted to make that quick comment and always bring the real conversation, to the committee. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Representative Thompson. It has been brought to my attention that Ms. Hoganson from the Children's Cabinet is here. And since the question of the Children's Cabinet was raised, I thought, Chair Pinto, if it's all right with you, that we would accept testimony from her at this time. Ms. Hoganson?
Mr. Chair.
Briefly?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Representative Pinto, thank you for allowing me to speak real briefly. To Representative Erickson's question, the Children's Cabinet is in statute and it has evolved over time with the administration. And Chair Pinto is correct that our work is broader than early childhood as defined by the governor and lieutenant governor and the goals of the cabinet itself and leadership. And of course, we know not all of our state's early childhood programs are in the 3 agencies or the programs listed in this bill. So coordination will be a part of all the work we do in state government, and to Chair Pinto's point, a need for children and families. And I just want to note too that the three agencies involved in this bill and the Children's Cabinet staff and are evaluating the bill and its fiscal impact and its impact on staffing, as Representative Gamuth asked about, and the systems and technology funding streams and services that are included in and those that are also impacted by the bill. And we appreciate the collaboration communication by Chair Pinto and with the three agencies. And I did want to bring to attention of the committee, I know I don't have a lot of time, that as Chair Pinto mentioned, there's an array of efforts that have happened over time in the state early childhood systems reform, Race to the Top grant, the OLA report, and the preschool development grant work that have resulted in the development of a strategic plan for coordination of early childhood care and education systems in our state that have focused on community engagement and feedback loops with stakeholders. And that plan is currently being implemented through a 3-year, $26.7 million federal grant called the Preschool Development Grant. Preschool is a little bit of a misnomer. It focuses on coordinating the array of services and supports that we know help our young children and families thrive. And we do have 3 documents. I don't believe they were posted this morning, but we can share those that really outline the activities in that grant, how the Children's Cabinet and the 3 agencies are coordinating to implement that strategic plan, as well as coordinating with local government, of course, who play an important role in services and supports for young children and external stakeholders and organizations. And I just want to bring to attention 4 of the recommendations or 4 of the main goals of that grant. And there is a document with a timeline that outlines an array of activities that grant is implementing through 2022. It does, of course, end, and we're working on a sustainability plan because we know this work will not end in 2022 when the funding does. So I'll really quickly summarize those 4 activities and hope that the committee and those interested will look through kind of the timeline, which has a much more extensive summary of the work. But the 4 main activities are exploring technology efforts to coordinate existing state efforts and coordinate existing state efforts that are underway to coordinate eligibility determination and services through improving our systems and the entry points by which families apply and access for services and supports. We heard very clearly from a community engagement process funded in 2019 with community partners that was a demand of children and families. It also will fund Help Me Connect, a technology tool to connect families and those working with families to resources and a direct referral to programs and services. The grant also funds a pilot of 10 local cross-agency hubs, similar to the hubs hub description included in House File 1024. And those hubs, the grantees contracts are in process and awards will be announced soon. And their goal are to coordinate services on the local level and meet families' needs in a local and culturally responsive way, and as well as pilot the use of Help Me Connect and use Children's Defense Fund's Minnesota's Bridge to Benefit screening tool to support ease of access to services. And then last, invest in community solutions by putting increased funding into the Community Solutions Fund for Healthy Child Development grant that the legislature created, I believe, a couple of years ago, and it's administered at MDH. And that grant supports solutions to community identified challenges, prioritizing BIPOC organizations and BIPOC children and families and young children and families. And so as I mentioned, I did, and as Representative Pinto mentioned, there is a lot of work underway to support children and families and meet the needs that children and families have and ensuring they have streamlined access to coordinated services and supports. And happy to share more about the preschool development grant or those other efforts, and we'll continue to be in conversation on the bill itself, of course, too. So thank you, Chair Dabney, for allowing a brief summary, and happy to answer questions or follow up as needed.
Thank you, Ms. Hoganson. Representative Krisha, you've been patient. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, I know you had said 10:55, and I want to be mindful of your time. Are you, you're still trying to get to that as close as possible?
I'm still trying to go back about 10 minutes.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Chair. And I understand that. And so just presented with what we have today to Chair Pinto, this is a fabulous idea. I love the idea. It's an idea that I've worked on in the past and want to continue to see progress toward it. The problem we have today is we're a finance committee and we're trying to get through our work in a very diligent manner. I would be left with minus 10 minutes to have my questions. And I understand the constraints. So here's where I'm at, Chair Pinto, and I'm just going to offer this in front of you. I'll be voting no on this bill, and for this reason. Number one, we haven't had enough time to really go through it. And I think we should have that time. I have at least 10 questions, and we're a finance committee. I don't even have a fiscal note in front of me. So I can't in good conscience even tell you, based on the fact that we're a finance committee with no fiscal note, what I'm voting for or how I could have this go forward. I have two quick questions for you before, and then I'll just ask my other ones without an expectation of my answer. But Chair Pinto, would we be appointing a commissioner before 2023? And do you have someone who would be championing this idea before we got to that point? And just, yeah.
Chair Pinto, who are you appointing?
Mr. Chair and Representative Krisha, I'm just, the plan I know would be for a commissioner to not be appointed, I believe this is correct, before 2023. There'd be a process really akin to what Representative Erickson was making reference to and other representatives in terms of a transition period and planning period, but the department would in fact take effect on July 1st of 2023 with a commissioner with that appointment process happening in that year.
Representative Krisha.
And thank you. And Chair Pinto, so if someone's appointed 2023, they then start this process, or is there legwork and pre-planning that was done before that?
Chair Pinto.
And Mr. Chair, Representative Krisha, absolutely, there's planning that starts that. So that's the reason that to do it now is to make sure that we have a couple of years lead time. So no, there's a long process in the 2 years leading up to that point, so that when that person there's a commissioner designate in January of 23, who then is working with the administration at that point on the 2-year budget that will then take effect July 1st of 2023 when the new department takes effect. But no, absolutely, the work starts over in the 2-year period before the department begins operations.
Thank you.
Representative Krisha.
Thank you. So here's my closing. I'll be brief on this. So here's the problems you face, Chair Pinto, and this is why I can't vote for this. If we don't have someone who we know is going to spearhead this, now we have 3 departments that are going to try to come up with ideas. I don't know when their plans would be. So we have a whole bunch of people throwing ideas with no catalyst person. You almost need a person that we could point to say, hey, this is a likely commissioner who can start to spearhead these ideas. Otherwise, it's going to be done by committee, which you have a lot to accomplish in that. Where is it located? What building would they move into? What is the timelines for every commissioner to turn their plans in? What if commissioners change between now and then? I mean, so there's a whole bunch of things that need to be ironed out before we just say, okay, 2023, you're up and running and here's a commissioner. And then, of course, if a commissioner steps in on 2023, do they like all that work that has been done in the previous 27 months? Or are they going to have the ability to change it to really take ownership of this and go forward? So I think that what you've put here is we have a great idea, but we need a lot more details so we can actually get to success. Otherwise, you'll end up with a 2023 plan. You'll end up with no real catalyst identified, and who is that true visionary? So, and again, here we are. And I'm trying to be very mindful of our time, but with less than 4 minutes to ask all these questions to get answers. There's a lot more work to be done for this. I'm hoping we can get to that if this gets to the House floor. I don't even think we have a state gov agency or a state gov committee right now in the structure that would look at one of these and look at the rulemaking process. So there's just a lot of question marks that I just couldn't vote for. And again, I don't even have a fiscal note. I don't even have, our committee name is the Finance Committee. I don't even have the most basic of a fiscal note in front of me. So that's why I would be voting no. I'm sure other members will follow their own hearts and minds on this, but with the absence of those, I can't in good conscience vote it out of this committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Krisha. Chair Pinto, response to Representative Krisha, closing comments, either one or both.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Krisha. And I'm eager to continue conversations with him. And there have been great points raised by a number of the committee members, and I really appreciate that. I mean, I guess I'll just note I'm a little bit confused, and I'll be eager to talk to Representative Krisha more to figure out if he thinks that the department should start operations immediately, or whether he thinks there should be a commissioner who should be appointed 2 years before that department starts operations, and we're paying somebody to be a commissioner for 2 years where there's no department, or sort of I'm a little confused about what the plan is, and again, what he has in mind as an alternative. And I know we'll talk about that. We can talk about that separately. I'll simply note that that we are aware that there's a huge need here. I will note, I see Representative Krisha had his hand back up, Mr. Chair, and I probably should let him, if you're inclined to do that before I wrap things up.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. It's the old tax committee rule that if your name is used, you get to respond. Representative Krisha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chair Pinto, I really do want to help with this. What I'm saying is, who's your catalyst, right? I get it, you can't put a commissioner in place, but you need to name who's going to lead the charge, or at least, who is that person? Is it you? Is it one of the other three commissioners? Every project that I've ever run successfully has a person leading the charge. They may or may not be the commissioner in 2023, but name the leader, or find the leader, or find someone who can make this successful. That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, Representative Krisha. Representative Pinto, your closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Krisha, thank you so much. I think I have a sense of where you have in mind for that. I'll be eager to continue talking with you. And I think that there's some tweaks we can make to make that happen. I will just note, members, this bill is going to be moving to several other committees. If it moves forward, it would move through the Early Childhood Finance Committee. And so that explains sort of that finance concern. It's that committee that would be addressing that. And I'll just note, members, that we are already spending a lot of energy, time, and money on coordination. And when I say we, that's state government, but it's also providers having to deal with different billing cycles for these different programs, having to deal with different departments. You heard the comments from Ms. Maas about how that's working, and the challenges for families in coordination. So we are already doing this a lot. And one of the things about early childhood is that timing is fast. We think about when your kids were babies, 6 months go by super fast, and there are massive changes. So every year that goes by are huge opportunities that we are missing to address opportunity gaps and to get the return on investment that Ms. Maas referenced. So members, I would urge your support of this proposal, and just please continue it moving forward, continuing the conversations. It's important that our state take this step. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. With that, Representative Wolgamott renews his motion that House File 1024 as amended be referred to the Human Services Finance and Policy Committee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Oh.
Nay.
No.
Nay.
Motion prevails. Congratulations, Representative Pinto. You're on your way to Human Services. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair, members. Thank you.
With that, we will transition to House File 288. I will move that House File 288 be before the committee to be laid over for possible inclusion or further consideration at a later date. Representative Edelson, please welcome back to the committee. We miss you. Please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see all of you virtually. House File 288 appropriates $1 million in 2022 and $1 million in 2023 to the Department of Education for grants to license teachers to complete the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. It's also known as letters, which I'll be referring to, and many members that will be testifying, or many members of the community that will be testifying will refer to it as letters today. Letters is a professional development tool that provides an in-depth knowledge of to teachers using the science of reading. 359 Minnesota educators have participated in a pilot program and have reported great success with how helpful it is for them, and also how helpful it is for students. Mississippi implemented the use of letters back in 2014 and saw dramatic increases. And in fact, they're one of the #1 states to show increases in literacy growth. So pretty impressive. House File 288 is widely supported. I know that we have several members on this committee. Representative Daniels, I know that you have been a big champion on literacy issues. is a co-author on this bill. Education Minnesota, AMSD, Association of School Boards, Edelson, Decoding Dyslexia Minnesota. This bill is bipartisan in the House. It is bipartisan in the Senate. It is widely supported, and I would like to take this time now to pass it over to the testifiers to tell you why they support it. And I think the first one up, Mr. Chair, is Dr. Schulting from MDE.
Thank you, Representative Edelson. I have 5 testifiers listed on my copy of the agenda, and you're correct. Dr. Schulting is first. Please introduce yourself for the record and present your testimony. Dr. Schulting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Amy Schulting, and I am the MDE dyslexia specialist. So, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. I will provide a brief overview of LETRS and an update on our MDE LETRS implementation pilot. So LETRS stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. It's important to note that LETRS is not a classroom curriculum, as stated previously. Rather, it is a rigorous professional development program appropriate for teachers at all tiers of instruction. LETRS trains teachers to provide explicit, systematic, and sequential instruction in both foundational reading skills and higher level literacy skills. Teachers also learn to assess student needs and interpret assessment data. We are currently in the second year of our LETRS implementation pilot. In that time, 4 MDE staff have completed LETRS and become LETRS trainers, or what they call facilitators. Last summer, MDE hosted facilitator training with 25 participants, including 5 Minnesota literacy professors. During this pilot, MDE has worked with educators at 26 public and charter schools and 2 special education cooperatives. Participants have included 13 professors from 4 universities and over 350 educators in a wide range of roles, including general education, special education teachers, interventionists, speech-language pathologists, school psychologists, and administrators. In year 1 of our pilot implementation, 158 educators participated in LETRS units 1 through 4. And this year, 201 educators are participating and 51 are completing units 5 through 8. Participants are making tremendous learning gains. On the unit 1 through 4 pretest, participants earned an average score of 62%. And then after completing the LETRS training with MDE, the average post-test score is 90%. So these tests are quite demanding, such that a score of 88% or higher qualifies a participant to become a LETRS facilitator. So to have an average post-test score of 90% across all of our participants is a terrific outcome. Those in units 5 through 8 have a pretest score of 78%, and then the post-test score will be completed this spring. So we have learned a lot in the past 2 years of this LETRS pilot about how to improve reading instruction and student outcomes. We know that teacher training is absolutely a critical first step. We also know that it is only the first step. We know that teacher knowledge is essential when teaching students how to read. However, we also know that teacher knowledge alone is not enough to change classroom instruction and student outcomes. We also know that we need effective implementation methods and infrastructure to support these efforts. So we know that teachers need training as well as coaching and ongoing support. They need sufficient instructional time. They also need high support instructional materials. We must also ensure administrator support and a focus on data-based decision-making in order to get to improve student outcomes. So before I close, I know that you have some information already, but before I close, I'd love to share some initial findings with you from our Minnesota MDE LETRS pilot. Our data collection efforts last spring were delayed due to COVID. Therefore, I'm able to share some anecdotal data reported by participating teachers. In Unit 2 of Letters, teachers learn to assess students' phonemic awareness, it's called, or sound processing skills, and how to teach this essential foundational reading skill. And many teachers reported significant changes in students' phonemic awareness and their reading skills after they improved their instruction in this area. For example, at one site, middle school intervention teachers identified phonemic awareness deficits that weren't being addressed with their current interventions. They began using high support materials, and then the middle school students, while they were initially skeptical about doing sound processing activities, as this is something they weren't familiar with, however, despite this, even skeptical middle schoolers became deeply engaged in this instruction when they saw the difference it made in their reading and their spelling skills. In fact, one middle school student asked for extra sessions with the teacher, which is amazing. Teachers also report that behavior problems decreased and attendance improved. At the elementary level, an intervention teacher reported that 12 of her 20 students were reading fewer than 70 words per minute. And then after changing her instruction within several months, all students improved at least 24 words per minute in fluency on grade level text, and most no longer needed intervention. This teacher reported that this was the most significant improvement in student reading that she had seen in her 40 years of teaching. From the perspective of a facilitator, a Letters facilitator who is also a literacy coach, and she works with EL students, she reports that Letters training made a significant impact on her school's approach to literacy, and that it was especially helpful for administrators to go through Letters to understand the importance of providing sufficient instructional time and supportive materials. She said, quote, "I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in past years with teachers asking, what do we do with students who aren't making progress? And now we have a systematic way to approach instruction with a focus on foundational reading skills, data, and student outcomes." And lastly, from the kindergarten level, in a general education classroom, this teacher had this to say about her experience. She writes, "Letters has completely changed how I think of teaching reading. It has given me real tools to use with my students. When I started using this approach with my kindergartners, I could see immediate results. Instead of guessing at words, students were sounding them out, and you could see their faces light up with understanding when they successfully decoded a word. I'm more confident as a teacher of reading, and although I'm still learning, the Letters program has given me and my colleagues a solid foundation that we can build on. We think more critically about our choices, work harder to improve our practices, which is going to help all of us become better teachers." So thank you so much for your time and attention today, and to your focus on improving reading outcomes in Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schulting. Next on the list is Dr. Abby Payer, adjunct professor at Bethel University. Dr. Payer, welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself for the record and begin your testimony.
All right. Thank you for having me today. My name is Professor Abby Payer of Bethel University. And if it's all right here, I'll just share a few slides with you. Thank you for having me testify today. I began my career as a K-8 teacher. I was really passionate about teaching and helping every learner succeed. Although in many ways I was successful, I found that my undergraduate preparation program had not taught me to reach struggling readers. This was not just a problem with my undergraduate preparation program, but it's a nationwide problem that we have, and one that we're working to fix in Minnesota. The connections I made with students and the love of reading I shared with them made me an effective teacher in some ways, but I still had the burning question of, how do I help all students learn to read? I couldn't let go of that question, which led me to pursue a master's degree and now a doctoral degree. Not quite finished with that PhD, but I've been able to study this question for the last 4 years. As Dr. Schulting said, 13 professors went through the Letters training. Last summer, I was one of them, and this professional development training really filled in the blanks of what my undergraduate teacher preparation program had left out. With structured literacy practices such as letters, about 40% of students will learn to read. NAEP data for decades has shown that the balanced literacy approaches that have prevailed have resulted in disappointing scores. It's time that we can do better. The cognitive science, neuroscience, educational psychology, and education fields have come together with an abundant body of knowledge that guides us in how to teach reading effectively so that we can reach 95% of students, whereas right now, at least 30 to 45% of students are not reaching proficiency. In kindergarten, we don't begin teaching math by starting with division. Instead, we teach students to count. Once this concept is grasped, we can build on it. We're ready for addition and subtraction and so on. A mountain of evidence shows us that reading acquisition works in a similar way. There's a set scope and sequence that works for all students. Some students may require a slower or a faster pace, but this letters program helps us understand what that scope and sequence is, and it provides the missing education that our teachers are missing in their university programs. I'm also here today to advocate for higher education. Us higher education professionals need to undergo letters training too. The letters training I undertook last year revolutionized what I'm teaching the undergraduate students now. Like I said before, it was that missing piece. The letters training gave me the skills to overhaul what we teach our pre-service teachers in the literacy classes at the university level. This fall, 44 new teachers spent a semester studying how children acquire reading. These teachers are going to enter Minnesota's classrooms ready to teach all students to read. Since most of Minnesota's professors have not had letters training and are still teaching pre-service teachers in ways that don't align with what we know to be true about reading acquisition, letters training will deepen professors' depth of understanding about concepts they may already be teaching, and it will provide them cognitive science information that was likely left out of their teacher training. Letters training for Minnesota's professors, coupled with letters training for veteran teachers, will create the systemic change that's needed.
Dr. Pear, if you could focus on wrapping up your comments, please. Thank you.
In higher education, we have developed a course at Bethel University that aligns with letters for the undergraduates and also for the graduate level students. Minnesota has been a leader in education, and we can be one of the first states to fully commit to following the science of reading and structured literacy funding through letters training for classroom teachers and professors who train our future teachers. Creating change within the system is hard, but if we can involve the whole system, the professors who train the teachers, the practicing teachers, the administrators, the literacy specialists, we can create a cohesive system. In partnership, we can choose to open the doors to reading and the opportunities for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pear. Next on the list is Krista Moyer, teacher from the Ely Public Schools. Welcome. Isn't it convenient we do these things by Zoom?
Convenient.
Ms. Moyer.
Thank you, Chair Dabney and members of the committee for having me. I am Krista Moyer, K-12 reading specialist for Ely Public Schools, and I would like to share Ely's success with implementing the science of reading using letters. So as part of a years-long process of system-wide change, our teachers here are working with the letters program, and our journey into best practices in scientific reading instruction began with recognizing that our students were not achieving at a rate that our hardworking and committed teachers found to be acceptable. Our teachers were frustrated that the ways that they had been taught to teach reading were not effective for their students. Immediately after naming and responding to this instructional problem, we began to see a reversal of the previous downward trend in reading scores. And as we continued in our teacher education process, we began to see noticeable and sustained improvement in reading. This year, despite the school closures, disruptions due to quarantines, and other COVID issues, we have experienced no learning loss in reading skills among our students in grades K through 2. Thanks to letters, Ely teachers know how and why to teach reading effectively, which too many teachers were finding they did not get in their training programs. This had left them frustrated and wishing they could do more for their students. But through letters, our teachers got a window into their students' minds. So unsurprisingly, our teachers in Ely love letters. Our teachers report now that they understand why the scores were previously declining instead of feeling guilty and powerless. Every teacher has said, I wish I knew this when I started teaching. Providing teachers this knowledge not only helps our students succeed, but it increases teacher morale and prevents burnout because our teachers can see in real time how their work is positively impacting students. Seeing teachers' confidence improve has been an incredibly rewarding experience for me as a letters facilitator. Our teachers have been able to make this change, but our district has invested in this professional development. Not all teachers are so lucky, but all students in Minnesota should be as lucky as the ones in Ely. Funding for letters will allow this process to take place in districts across the state and allow teachers to experience the learning they should have experienced in their teacher preparation program and student teaching experiences. In Ely, we are recreating the student teaching experience, ensuring our teachers become expert reading educators without adding to their overloaded work weeks to attend to travel outside for training and without any out-of-pocket expenses to them. Supporting teachers and giving them the tools they need to be successful educators is the best way to improve student achievement. So I thank you for your support of teachers in Minnesota and student success.
Thank you, Ms. Moyer. Next on the list, Rachel Berger, a parent and founder of Decoding Dyslexia Minnesota. Ms. Berger, welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and thank you for hearing House File 288. My name is Rachel Berger. I am the director of Decoding Dyslexia Minnesota, which is a parent and professional-led organization concerned with dyslexic and struggling readers. We've just a little bit of a background because there are so many new members of the committee this year. We've been working for the past 8 years with legislators, many of which are on this committee, on policy initiatives that would improve literacy outcomes for these vulnerable students. In 2018, we actually also formed a coalition of like-minded organizations, which include the Reading Institute in Rochester, the International Dyslexia Association Upper Midwest Branch, and Groves Academy. As an advocate for dyslexia and struggling readers, I know many of you hear me use the word dyslexia quite frequently, but I want you to understand that I speak inclusively of the bottom 40-ish percentage of students who are not at proficient levels of reading. And mainly because I want you to understand that this is not an isolated special education issue. All of these students start and generally remain in gen ed. It just so happens that our dyslexic students are the canaries in a coal mine, alerting us to systemic issues in literacy instruction. And the reason that all of these things are so important to us and impactful is that we are, as noted, having issues with making grade level proficiency or moving the needle. I want to give you guys a little bit of background that's different than some of the things we're hearing from educators today. And again, this is in part due to the fact that we have a lot of new members on this committee. In 1999, US Congress appointed a national reading panel which reviewed over 100,000 studies to determine what techniques actually work when it comes to teaching students to read. The evidence that structured literacy with explicit phonetic instruction enhances student success in learning to read was clear and compelling. In the 21 years since experts concluded those findings, there really hasn't been a general lack of knowledge on how students best learn to read. Rather, I'd say there's been a bit of a delayed reaction in responding to one of the most significant skills required in education and developing our world's best workforce. So there's some statistics that many of you guys are familiar with. Our nation's report card specifically reports that 62% of students read at a level, Minnesota students read at a level below proficient, and we're not really moving the needle on that in more than a decade. A dismal 46% of white fourth graders scored proficient or above, and only 19% of their Black peers scored at proficient or above. The numbers for eighth graders are even worse at 41% and 11% respectively. And while it's really sobering that half of white students failed to meet that proficiency bar, the figures for Black students should outrage anyone who cares about social justice and equity in education, because 19% is not equity. And what's more, these stats translate into very bleak futures. 45% of females and 54% of males who drop out of school, 80% of youth involved in juvenile justice, 70% of those incarcerated, and 42% of those who live in poverty share one common denominator, and that is low literacy. In the number of years I've been advocating on behalf of literacy and individuals who struggle with reading at the legislature, I've heard many of you talk about equity in education. And the question I ask is, how do we have equity when we are essentially privatizing literacy? Kids, mostly those with highly educated parents who have ample resources, and a disproportionate number of those being white, are getting the instruction they need through private tutors. COVID only added more fuel to that fire. Special education referrals are up. School districts are increasingly struggling with that cross subsidy. In 2018, Minnesota had 32,000 approximately students in special education. And of those students, only 12% increased their proficiency between 3rd and 12th grade. Yet by federal law, we are required to close the gap between special education students and their neurotypical peers when they are in special education. We're spending large amounts of money, but we're not seeing outcomes in special education or general education. We're genuinely not moving the needle, and we are in a literacy crisis. So Decoding Dyslexia Minnesota, its coalition members, organized a stakeholder group which included Education Minnesota, MSBA, MDE, and legislators to collaborate on a solution, and that is the letters bill before you today. As you've heard, this bill is a professional development that would provide educators the tools they need right in the gen ed classroom. This would in turn reduce the need for interventions and special education referrals due to instructional casualty. It doesn't require a curriculum change. What's more, it's based on the science of reading, which is consistent with the findings of the National Reading Panel. This bill isn't a mandate, so again, it's $1 million per year or $2 million per biennium. But what's most important is that we are investing in our educators. We're enabling them to make the curriculum work for all children. And this bill is a step in the right direction when it comes to ensuring that educators are prepared with the skills they need in order to be part of the solution. Members of the committee, Mr. Chair, I'm asking for your support on House File 288 today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berger.
Thank you.
Last on the list of testifiers is Wendy Lunsgaard, a literacy educator trainer. Ms. Lunsgaard, please introduce yourself to the committee and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Wendy Lunsgaard. I am a board member of Decoding Dyslexia. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am a former elementary school teacher, and before the pandemic, I was a contracted literacy specialist working around the country with educators and administrators on teaching reading. I currently hold an elementary education license, as well as an ESL license and a reading license I earned at Hamline University 2 years ago. As you heard, the Letters Professional Development course provides in-depth knowledge based on the most current research, essentially the science of reading. I have gone through the letters training myself. The science of reading is decades of research, but unfortunately, the reality is that there's a wide gap between what the research says and how teachers are typically trained. In Minnesota, many teachers are not aligning their instruction with the science of reading because they haven't learned it. I want to give you an example of a strategy that was presented in one of my classes at Hamline to use with struggling readers. But before I do, I need to state that the research is clear. When a student gets stuck on a word, he needs to learn how to decode or sound out the entire word. So this strategy is called cross-checking, from the authors of the textbook called it. This is to be best used when guiding a student in identifying an unknown word. Sammy reads, brown bear, what do you see? I see a yellow bird looking at me. The word in the text is not bird, it's a duck. Teacher says, what is the first sound you hear in bird? Look at the first letter in this word. Point to the word duck. What is that? Okay, if that's a D, then the word can't be bird. Can you think of another word that would make sense here and that looks like the picture? At this point, have the child reread these 2 pages and see if he realizes it's a duck. That is the lesson that we were taught, a strategy teaching students not to decode the word, but to compensate his way around actually reading it. From a course designed, and I quote from Hamlin's course description, practitioners who will be responsible for developing and administering reading intervention programs for students experiencing difficulties in reading. The students who come to us are already using this strategy because they can't read. It is our job to teach them how to actually read. The first rule of reading is to keep your eyes on the words. Compensation strategies are behaviors of unskilled readers, yet teachers are being taught to teach students how to guess rather than how to read. I could provide you with a dozen additional lessons of guessing and checking activities that we were taught in this class, but I won't. But here are pages and pages of emails from my classmates defending this strategy, not because they lack intelligence or integrity, but because they have been poorly trained. This is not unique to Hamlin, just one example of a prevalent systemic issue of poor teacher training and literacy. Structured literacy is the research-based instructional approach that puts the science of reading into practice. It is not just phonics, it is all the skills needed to become a skilled reader, as well as how to teach those skills. Educators just need to be empowered with the knowledge that letters will provide to deliver effective reading instruction to all students. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We have questions from members. Let's quickly, Representative Bennett, you've been patient. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have a question for the bill author, and this has been very interesting. You know, as a former elementary school teacher of mostly first grade, and I love teaching reading. My favorite was my favorite thing to do. But I do have a question. This sounds like an excellent program. I have no qualms with it at all. It sounds like a very much evidence-based way to teach reading. But I am wondering where else in our state we fund specific staff development programs. I know this is a grant and it's a choice, but it's for this program only, versus sending that funding or making that funding available and allowing teachers and school districts to choose. Because I do know there are other really good evidence-based programs too that come to my mind just from my teaching experience would be Orton Gillingham and the phonographics method of teaching reading, and particularly phonics. So I guess my question is, why not create a fund instead that would be for reading proficiency staff development and allow teachers to choose programs, including letters, instead of the state government often, or government in general, picks winners and losers. And here we're picking a winner and not allowing other winners to be part of this. So just wondering about whether do we do this with other programs for staff development, or is this a first?
Representative Edelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Bennett, for that question. I think probably who is going to be best to answer this question is Dr. Schulting, which is why she put her camera back on. So I go ahead and let you speak more to that, why we specifically picked the letters program, because Representative Bennett, not every literacy program does work, and I think that's what we're hearing. And so, Dr. Schulting.
Dr. Schulting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and thank you for this question. So I think that there's definitely the opportunity to allow for selection of other professional development programs, absolutely. Given just our limited capacity as a department, we looked to other states that had invested a lot of time and energy and effort. Specifically, as Representative Edelson mentioned initially, Mississippi is about 7 or 8 years ahead of us in training thousands and thousands of their teachers, including all of their literacy professors across the state in letters. So there was ample evidence of its efficacy as a training opportunity for again, pre-service teachers, professors, educators across all realms and all tiers of instructions, and then support for the positive outcomes, learning growth for teachers as well as for students. And so we were following the lead of a number of states who have been able to use this program, systemically throughout the state. Now, again, there was just an investment of time and energy for our team to go through the program, become facilitators in order to support teams in going through this. But of course, there could be the option of other programs, but this is the one that we had the most evidence and support for and knowledge of, having worked in other states. I hope that answers the question. I'm happy to answer more.
Representative Bennett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I mean, it kind of didn't answer my question in a way, because my question isn't the effectiveness of this program. I think it's wonderful, and I understand why it's being chosen here. I do question, I guess, why the state would direct a certain program over another, instead of maybe setting criteria for programs and allowing districts to choose. I just feel like it's picking winners and losers. I'll drop it. I know there's other questions, but that is a concern of mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bennett. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my question is for our professor from Bethel University.
Perfect. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Professor, we have in statute 122A.05, which is the science of reading. So are our teacher prep programs failing us? And if so, why isn't there a call for them to provide a staff development based on what they're supposed to be teaching our teacher candidates?
Dr. Payer.
Thank you for your question, Representative Erickson. I absolutely agree with you that we should be up in arms that our teacher preparation programs are not properly preparing. As we heard from Ms. Lunsgaard's testimony, the preparation program she attended in Minnesota did not properly prepare her to teach reading, nor did the preparation programs, 2 of which I went to in Minnesota. And so that's partly why I'm here today. I know that the professors also need this information. Some of this information comes from educational psychology and cognitive science, and due to epistemological differences between the different colleges, not all of this information transferred. But because this information is so solid, now these areas are working together, and we know more now than we did. And so professors absolutely need that retraining, and I'm working on that in other avenues, and that's also partly why I'm here today.
Thank you. Representative Erickson, any follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a statement, it's in the law. And so if teacher preparation programs are not following the law, then we need to hold them accountable to that, because this is wrong, that we send out teachers into the classroom who don't understand what they were supposed to learn in teacher prep and now need additional development. And I love the additional development. I know that letters is very good. I know that in my own district of Princeton, my curriculum director has designed a literacy program that is working so well and worked so well during the pandemic, and the children have not lost one step in regard to their literacy training. But we have to hold our teacher prep programs accountable too. And that's very disturbing to me that they aren't following the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Erickson. There are 2 members of the public who responded to the opportunity to testify today. Each of them have been given 2 minutes to testify. First up is Sarah Spofford Freeman. Ms. Freeman, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Dabney and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak today in support of HF 288. My name is Sarah Spafford Freeman, and I'm the parent of 3 children attending Minneapolis public schools. Like thousands of his classmates, our son is a struggling reader. After years of this struggle and the emotional toll that comes with it, he was diagnosed with dyslexia and dysgraphia last year. The prescription we were given was surprising and expensive. We were told to hire a tutor trained in the science of reading and spelling instruction. In just 1 year of this tutoring, 1 hour a week during a pandemic, our son has progressed 2 grade levels. He's still behind, but his growth demonstrates the power of teachers trained in the science of reading, and the promise of systemic, explicit literacy instruction. Our family's experience also highlights the privilege too often required to access these tools and the inequities perpetuated by public school systems lacking them. I'm a longtime volunteer at Minneapolis North High School, and I've seen up close what happens to students and families who don't have this privilege. There are no panaceas when it comes to literacy instruction, but there are evidence-based tools that work. I've seen these tools in practice this year, and I marvel at their efficacy, but I again want to highlight the cost and private nature of accessing them. I support HF 288 because I've seen that this type of training works. I support it because it's a critical investment in our public education system's most important asset, our teachers. I thank Rep. Edelson for her leadership on this bill, and I implore the other committee members to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spafford Freeman, pardon me. Last testifier is Mr. Matt Shaver, Policy Director of Ed Allies. Mr. Shaver, welcome back to the committee. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Chair Dabney, members of the committee, good morning. My name is Matt Shaver, Policy Director at Ed Allies, and I'm here to testify in support of House File 288. I graduated from college with a degree in elementary education, completed Ed TPA, passed all of my content and pedagogy tests, and got good ratings as a student teacher, all without really understanding how kids learn to read. Like many pre-service teachers, I was taught that learning to read was mostly a natural process. So creating a text-rich environment would help my students love reading and would help my struggling readers too. And like many teachers, I spent money out of my own pocket to build a diverse and engaging classroom library, and I have no regrets about any of that. But that didn't mean I was helping my students become stronger readers. Every month, a box of new books was delivered to the classroom, and you could feel this buzz of excitement. And a student who was a struggling reader would find a new book that they were eager to read and would sit down during independent reading time, open the book, and I would watch their smile slowly fade. And inevitably, that student would bring the book back to me and say they didn't want to read it anymore. When I would ask why, they would say something like, oh, like it was boring. But I knew they hadn't been taught how to read fluently. They didn't know the code. And worse yet, I didn't know how to teach them the code. The science overwhelmingly supports a structured and systematic approach to teaching phonics and reading. Learning to read isn't a natural process. Our brains need to be taught the code, how the letters and their sounds work in English. And unfortunately, not everyone in education has accepted the science and still treat reading instruction as a pedagogical pendulum that swings back and forth from balanced literacy to systematic phonics. This is one of the reasons for stagnant progress and closing education gaps. The funding made available in House File 288 will continue the process of aligning literacy practices in Minnesota to the evidence and the settled science of systematic phonics instruction. As a teacher, I would have loved to get letters training, but I couldn't afford it. This bill provides training for more than 1,000 Minnesota teachers in the science of reading using a proven program. It's an investment in our early literacy teachers and youngest learners we can no longer afford to avoid. Thank you to Representative Edelson and all of the House authors who have already signed on in support of House File 288. I urge the committee members to add your support to this important piece of legislation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and thank you all for your public service.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. Representative Edelson, any closing remark?
Thank you. I just want to thank the members and truly do hope that we support this. In Edina, we've already paid privately to have our teachers go through this program, and they've also reported success. But we should make sure that all of our Minnesota teachers are able to do this. And Representative Erickson, I agree with you, and I would love to touch base with you after this committee. Maybe we can connect about the higher ed development as well. So thank you all.
Thank you, Representative Edelson. Thank you to all who testified today. With that, the chair renews his motion that House File 288 be laid over for possible inclusion or further consideration at a later date. Members, the chair erred this morning in how we processed House File 1024 on to the Health and Human Services, where it's got a long name and I want to get it right. The Human Services Finance and Policy Committee. We did that on a voice vote. We should have done a roll call. So with that, Representative Wolgamott renews his motion to refer House File 1024 as amended to the Human Services Finance and Policy Committee. Ms. Sunderland, would you please take the roll on the motion?
Chair Dabney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Sandsted.
Aye.
Representative Kresha.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Bennett.
No.
Representative Daniels.
No.
Representative Damath.
Aye.
Representative Drazkowski.
No.
Representative Erickson.
No.
Representative Jordan.
Aye.
Representative Marquardt.
Aye.
Representative Mueller.
Mueller votes no.
Representative Richardson.
Aye.
Representative Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Representative Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Representative Zhang is excused. Representative Youakim.
Yes.
That gives us 11 ayes and 5 nays.
With that, House File 1024 as amended is moved along to the Human Services Finance and Policy Committee. Members, with that, we are adjourned. We look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you.